Here, a short overview.
So guys, hello everyone, you're part of the podcast now.
Botswana is quite unique in its history. Until the year 1966, Botswana was one of the poorest countries in the world. And now Botswana is now called by many the Switzerland of Africa because of its higher level of development. Zebras. Zebras are our national animal, so you can definitely see zebras. And then there's elephants as well, and we have the biggest population of elephants in the world.
Our news just tell us, oh yeah, it's allowed to hunt again. But if you know the background, then it makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. There's definitely a lot of thought into Germany criticized this, and the president of Botswana actually in response, he made an offer to give Germany 20,000 elephants.
Yeah.
He said, if you like elephants so much, then here's 20,000, but you have to live with them.
Yeah, cool.
Welcome to the podcast Global Communicator. Don't believe tourists, we ask the locals. Global Communicator, the podcast.
Hey Wame.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Well, please take a seat. Here in Vienna, next to the Donau Canal. And well, it's amazing. I have to tell the listeners that I just texted you yesterday, and today we are already sitting here. We had a short walk through the Donau Canal and decided to make the podcast directly here. So, Wame, tell our friends how it's possible that we are here already and what we are going to speak today about.
Okay, yes, my name is Wame, and I'm from Botswana. So I've been living here in Vienna for I think almost 9 years, but I was born and raised in Botswana. So for the bulk of my life I spent this time in Botswana. But I've also spent a considerable amount of time here in Austria now. First as a student, I did my master's here at the Diplomatic Academy of Vienna, and now I work at one of the international organizations here in Vienna, because Vienna is the headquarters of a lot of UN agencies. So I work for the UN here in Vienna, and it's been 9 years. That's me. Like I said, I am from Botswana, but I haven't been home in many years, and there's not a lot of people from Botswana.
Yeah, which is a fun fact. You said like the president from Botswana was here, and all the Botswana living people, in Austria living guys from Botswana went there, and it was like 10 people. You said something like that?
There were about 10. So, well, firstly, a person from Botswana, when you mention a person from Botswana, a citizen is a Motswana.
Thanks for that. I was
no
searching
worries.
for this word and I didn't have any clue, so thanks for that.
Not a lot of people know, because people usually say a Botswanan or a Botswanian, but it's a Motswana.
Okay.
One person from Botswana is a Motswana, and then when it's plural, it's Botswana.
Botswana.
Yes.
Botswana. Okay. Good to know. Thanks for that. So already first thing learned today. But you already mentioned Botswana, where you're born and raised, but probably not everyone knows directly where it's located, how many people are living there. So give our listeners a short overview about Botswana.
Yes, Botswana is in the southern part of Africa. So if you know South Africa, then South Africa is right at the bottom of the continent, and Botswana is situated right at the top of South Africa. So it's a landlocked country. There's no coast, and it's
Namibia on the other side, right?
Namibia is to the west.
Yeah.
And then it's also surrounded by Zimbabwe. The southern part is mostly taken up by South Africa. Then it's Namibia to the east and Zambia and Zimbabwe to the north. Yeah, and there's about 2.4 million people in Botswana, so it's not gigantic in terms of population.
True, but the land side is pretty big, right?
Yes, it's about the same size as France.
Yeah, and 2.8 or how?
2.4.
2.4 million people.
So there's a lot of space in Botswana.
So, traveler and listeners, here we have the boat to Bratislava, and today we have someone here from the UN, and coincidentally our friend, which was here, Federica for Slovakia, she also works for the UN, and now we even have the boat here which goes to Bratislava, so really nice connection.
Very nice.
So guys, hello everyone, you're part of the podcast now.
Somebody is waving.
Nice. Yeah, but let's get back on track. So, huge country, less population.
Yes, it's one of the least densely populated countries in the world. I think one of the most, at least, is probably like Mongolia or something. But still, it's I think 3 or 4 people per square kilometer.
Nice fact, yeah.
But the thing about Botswana is it is very spacious, but the majority of the population is concentrated on the southern and southeastern part, the part that connects with South Africa.
Okay.
So
where also the capital is based, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, the capital is called Gaborone. So most people call it Gaborone, but it's pronounced Gaborone.
Gaborone. Okay, yeah. I would also pronounce it wrong, actually.
Yeah, because you wouldn't know, right? Because the G in Botswana is pronounced as a H.
Okay. Very interesting, yeah. And I actually checked it out on the map, and it's tightly close located to the capital of South Africa, right?
Yes, it's not so far.
Yeah.
Because South Africa is the economic hub of the region, and the region itself is very well integrated, but South Africa is the economic, let's say, dominating country in the region. So most of our economy is integrated into the South African economy, and we use also like socially, economically we're quite bonded to South Africa, but we're also socially bonded to South Africa. So people from Botswana are called Batswana, as I said before, and our national language is Setswana, but it's also one language spoken in South Africa. Because we are, there's not much difference between a Motswana from Botswana and a Motswana from South Africa. The only difference is that the border was drawn by Europeans.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we're quite similar culturally to people from South Africa.
Okay, and also economical, as you already said, because Botswana is a very healthy economic nowadays, right? It was a few years ago, well, plenty of years ago, until the 60s, very poor country, if it's true what I read, and now it's a very healthy one.
Yes.
So how come?
Well, yes, Botswana has been around as a country. Independence was in 1966 for Botswana, and until then, until the year 1966, Botswana was one of the poorest countries in the world. There was only about 12 kilometers of paved road in the entire country, and when we got independence, there was only about 40 people with a degree, educational degree, a university degree, sorry. So,
crazy. 2 facts which are really hard to imagine for me.
Exactly, and the reason, and Botswana is quite unique in its history in terms of the colonial history, you might say, because a lot of African countries have former colonizers or were formerly colonies of the UK, France, Germany, Portugal, etc. But Botswana was never a colony. It was actually a protectorate. So it used to be called the Protectorate of Bechuanaland. And Bechuanaland was the English way, the way that the English called Botswana. But Botswana itself, when we got independence, it's now the name means the land of Botswana people. So when we got independence, we were one of the poorest countries in the world. But then, only a year later, we discovered diamonds. And when we discovered diamonds, that was a game changer, obviously, because then we had a source of income, and we were free, actually, of economic, let's say, an imperial, let's say, pressure to. We had more control over the resources that most other countries, African countries, do. So we were very lucky in that sense. And thankfully, since then, the country has been able to take the money, the revenue that we get from the diamonds, and put it into developing the country. And that also came out of a joint venture with the De Beers. If you know, you may have heard of De Beers. It's one of the biggest.
The company Beers, yes, right? Yeah.
De Beers. So there's a joint venture agreement. You would say like an agreement between the government of Botswana and the De Beers, which was made upon independence, where the De Beers would get 85% of the revenue from the diamonds, and the government would get 15%. It's very little.
Sounds like a bad deal, actually, yeah.
So this was not a great deal, but it was all, they didn't have much to leverage in the negotiations. We were one of the poorest countries in the world at that point, so they took the deal. And after a few years, the government of Botswana was able to increase that to 25%. And until recently, the government has now managed to break a deal with the De Beers, and they now have 30% of stake on the revenue of the diamonds. And
which sounds much better.
It's much better, and within 10 years, it's going to be 50%. That's the agreement. Within a decade, I think.
So a lot of options. And the money is used for what?
So the money, that is the thing that really sets Botswana apart from many African countries. The people of Botswana were able to benefit from the money that the government got from the diamonds. So
that's great to hear.
Yes.
It's not always the case, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah, we know a lot of different examples for that, yeah.
Yeah. So because of the very little corruption in Botswana as compared to other countries, this money went
also a good fact.
Yes. This money went into the schools, into building up infrastructure for the country, and throughout there was a point within the past 50 years that Botswana was one of the fastest developing countries in the world, faster than China when it was also in its height.
Okay.
But it's slowed down a little since then. A lot of countries have since 2008. But still, Botswana is now a middle-income country to be exact. And the people from Botswana are very proud that, for example, I can mention the Minister of Industry, the former Minister of Industry of Botswana was a young woman, around not too much older than me. I'm in my early 30s, and she said that she went to school because of the diamonds that the government was able to get. Yes. So,
thanks to this contract and all this money, she was able to go to school.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that money went into funding public schools and children.
And put education up. So probably there are much more than 40 people who made the university degree.
Exactly, much more than 40%. And now Botswana is now called by many the Switzerland of Africa because of its higher level of development.
That's very funny. We had just an episode from Bulgaria, and there we called it the episode the Switzerland of Europe.
Yeah.
Of the Balkans, the Switzerland of the Balkans, and now we have the Switzerland of Africa.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And they really call it the Switzerland of Africa.
That's how many people call it. Like, let's say, economic commentators, people who have watched Botswana grow have called it the Switzerland of Africa.
Interesting that the whole world compares with Switzerland.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody wants to be Switzerland.
Yeah, interesting fun fact that everyone wants to be like Switzerland.
Yeah.
Nice. So economical, really, I would say we can speak hours about it, but happy to hear that it's in such a good situation. So probably there is also tourism there, right?
Yes.
Because, well, if I hear Botswana, I think about the big fives, a lot of animals, and yeah, just give our listeners a short overview and what, if they travel there, what they can do and what they have to see.
Yes. So there is a lot to see in Botswana. So not only does diamond mining power the Botswana economy, but so does tourism. And Botswana has a lot to offer in terms of tourism. Even though the majority of the population is concentrated along the south and southeast, in the center of Botswana there's the Kalahari Desert or the Kalahari Desert. Yeah, this is a big desert. I'm not sure how big it is, but this is what you can see. There's also the Okavango Delta at the very far north part of Botswana.
Very famous.
Yes, that's a big tourist attraction. And then there is also Chobe National Park. It's a huge national park. And yeah, so these are the main ones that I can think of. But there's a lot to see.
Yeah, and a lot of safari option.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
I just made a short overview as a preparation, and wow, it was so impressive to see how many animals you have. Just mention a few of them which are able to see.
Yeah, I mean, everything. You can see lions, leopards, like you said, the big five. I can't remember what the big five was. It's the rhinos. You can see rhinos. Oh, there's the Kama Rhino Sanctuary in the eastern part of the country, which that's one place where I can say I have been. Rhinos have been quite depleted in population, but that's one place where they protect the few that are left. So there's that rhino sanctuary.
So they grow the population up there again?
Yes, or they're trying at least. And it was opened by the not the current president, but the one before the current one. So that's why it's called the Kama Rhino Sanctuary. That's his name. I said that zebras. Zebras are our national animal. Mm-hmm. So you can definitely see zebras. And then there's elephants as well. And we have the biggest population of elephants in the world.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they make troubles? Do they make problems?
They do.
They do, because we had the podcast about Namibia, and they also told us that the elephant makes a lot of problems, destroy a lot of houses and things like that.
Yes.
You have the same problems?
Yes.
Interesting. As a European, you don't think about that in the first moment. But
yeah, it's very interesting because the former president of Botswana, not the current one, just the last one, Ian Khama, who I mentioned, he was a big proponent of conservation. So Botswana has a very, very strong policy of conserving wildlife, and they did a really good job of growing the elephant population, which was in danger, but now it's actually become a huge hazard in Botswana. There's now too many. I don't know what the number was, but it's become a problem that they're running into villages, killing people. It gets a bit dangerous because they're elephants. They have migratory routes, and their roots are actually going into human settlements. So actually there was something in the news that happened recently because the current president of Botswana, he is loosening the rules on trophy hunting in Botswana because we have too many elephants. Okay. So the idea is to lower the population and to kind of stimulate parts of the economy but this became...
It's good to know, because probably our news just tell us, oh yeah, it's allowed to hunt again. But if you know the background, then it makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. There's definitely a lot of thought into these policies to loosen the regulations. It's not they're actually thinking about the well-being of the people who are in around the elephants, and also trying to find a way to get money for the poorer areas or the rural areas from trophy hunting. And obviously it's also well regulated still by the government, and it's not going to be a free-for-all, you know. But yeah, this caused quite a bit of controversy in the EU. Actually, the Minister of Environment of Germany criticized this, and the President of Botswana actually in response, he made an offer to give Germany 20,000 elephants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the answer of Germany?
I don't think there was an answer.
What a nice offer. I liked that.
He said, if you like elephants so much, then here's 20,000, but you have to live with them.
Cool.
That's what he said.
That would be really nice move. I like it. I like it. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you really go with the flow, and I was already very happy when you said that you're joining the podcast, but it's really cool, nice informations. So listeners, as I said in the beginning, it's a perfect guest to speak about Botswana. And yeah, well, we spoke about economic, we spoke about tourism. So, well, you have a lot of nature, as you already said. There are rules to protect nature.
Yeah.
So it's a really big part in Botswana to secure the nature, right?
Exactly. It's wildlife conservation is very important because tourism is very important. And it's been Botswana has actually been a model country for many other, not just African countries, but countries worldwide. And this has been mentioned by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, which, you know, follows the problem of poaching, you know, and when they discuss how to enforce policies against poaching, they usually look at Botswana as a model. Botswana is very successful at that. So it's not to say that poaching doesn't happen, but it happens a lot less than in other countries. Yeah.
Wow, just positive things. Is there something negative about Botswana?
Yes, I can tell you something negative. So I'm very proud of Botswana's history. I'm very proud of the fact that the country was able to get such a good stake in its economic deal with De Beers. But unfortunately, Botswana is also one of the most unequal countries in the world. So that raises the question of, okay, so Botswana gets a lot of income, and yes, it has helped develop a lot of normal people have been able to benefit by being able to go to school, but that there's still a big wealth gap, which means that there is less people that have more of the wealth that Botswana enjoys as a nation. So
even
this
if
is
it's such a small population, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Normally it would be easier to get a quite equal level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure why, but I think that's definitely one of the issues that Botswana has to look into. So when I did find out about this deal that was made where Botswana is going to was able to raise its stake to 30% of the ownership of the diamonds, I was very happy. But my next thought was, how are we going to make sure that every person, every Botswana can enjoy all of that wealth, and not maybe just the most well-off people in Botswana? Yeah. So that's definitely one thing that's a bit negative. But I think, for the most part, Botswana has a lot to be proud of, you know?
Yeah, sure. Well, you already mentioned so many things which impressed me, really. Yeah. Well, so you already said that people are well educated nowadays, and 40% are having university degrees. So is it possible to speak English there? Like, your English is amazing, but do people back in Botswana also speak English?
Yes, Botswana. Botswana, because it was formerly a protectorate of the United Kingdom. Everything in Botswana that's in official capacity, the courts, the law, is modeled under the British system, and therefore English is the official language. So most people can speak English, but then, like I said, because this wealth disparity means that I think it differs on who can speak better English. I think if you went to a good school, or like a more expensive school where you have access to an international environment, everybody can speak English, no problem. But probably in the rural areas, it's not so much like that, and people speak the main language, the national language, and not the official. It's official, sorry, but the local language is Setswana.
Botswana, yeah.
Yeah, and there are other languages because there are smaller, let's say, ethnic groups. We do have the click languages as well, but that's also a very small minority of the population speaks the click languages.
But it's so cool that you speak automatically about it, because it was one point which I want to mention.
Yeah.
So the click language.
Yes, yeah.
So
exactly.
it's very small population which doing that, right?
Yes, and
They're
don't.
just showing to some tourists, so you can book to see how it works and things like that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the everyday person
Yeah.
that speaks a click language.
I think even all the tourists who book these trips knows that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, super. So, well, as you already saw a few episodes of my podcast, so all the listeners are always waiting for the secret spot.
Yeah.
So there is one spot for sure in Botswana which is not directly found on Google, and where you want to see, and which people have to see if they're in Botswana.
Yeah. So I did mention earlier the more famous spots, the spots that everybody knows Botswana for, like the Okavango Delta. But one spot that I've never been to myself, and I should go to, that I think is less famous, is called Old Palape. So it's an old part of a town called Palape. So there's like a modern town in the eastern part of Botswana called Palape. But then there's an area that's like a heritage site called Old Palape, where you can see some of the ancient nature in this region, in this part, where it's a very untouched part, and it's like I said, it's a heritage site. You can see very beautiful nature. It's a bit different from going on a safari, because you can just go there with your car and you can just walk around and see the beautiful nature. Yeah, on your own. It's not like going into the desert or national park. So that's one place that I would love to go. It's called Old Palape.
Listeners, write that down, Old Palape, and if you're there, let us know. You had a dog?
Yeah.
So that's one of the success rules nowadays, right? Yeah. Put the animal in your video, then it will be successful. Yeah, thanks for the secret spot. Well, the dog just confused me a bit.
Yeah.
After you're living already a few years here, can you compare Austrians, Europeans, and people from Botswana a bit? Mm-hmm. The big difference, how do we act, how do you guys act? What's the biggest difference between us?
I think that the difference that I've experienced in Europe is that people are much more shy, you might say, or I don't want to say cold, but they really keep to themselves more than people from Botswana. And the thing is, people from Botswana are also shy in a way, because as I did mention South Africa as well, and South Africa being like the America of Africa in our views. South Africa is like our louder cousins or brothers or sisters, and we're like a bit more shy, little brothers of South Africa, the little sibling of South Africa. So we're also shy, but I think that Austrians are still even more shy. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll definitely confirm that we Central Europeans, like Austrians, are a bit shy and cold, but wouldn't say it for whole Europe. Like South is definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can imagine that that's a big difference. Yeah, for sure.
But I don't see it as a bad thing. It's a different way of engaging. It's more of a way where people kind of respect your personal space, and that's still being considerate. But in Botswana, people are not like that. They don't like. It's more like intimate, where it's a different type of being considerate. I do appreciate this kind of giving people
Private space.
Yeah, giving people, allowing them to just be, rather than to, how are you, and what, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it might seem cold. I don't know. It might seem cold to somebody from the global south, let's say.
Yeah, I see, yeah. So if we go to Botswana, how should we get there? Is there an airport, obviously, in the capital, I guess, right?
Yes, there's an airport in the capital, so you can definitely fly, but there's no direct flight to Gaborone. So you would go through South Africa, through the Johannesburg or any other city in South Africa. Or now you can go through, I think, Kenya Airways or Ethiopian Airways. Now you can go through Addis Ababa or Nairobi or Johannesburg. But there's no direct flight from Vienna, for example, or to
Botswana.
Yeah.
Well, there is another very important question, which I always ask in every podcast: food, like favorite dishes, and people need to eat there.
Yeah.
Do you have something in your mind?
Yes. So I think that the most popular dish, if you go to Botswana, you must have pap and siswa. It's called pap and siswa. Yeah.
Okay.
So pap is it's like polenta. It's like made from ground maize. So and then it becomes a white powder. And then you mix it with water, and it becomes thicker and thicker and thicker, and it becomes it has the consistency of polenta. And so that's the pap part, and then siswa is like beef. It's a beef dish. It's meat that has been cooked for a long time, many hours in a thick pot, and spiced with not too many spices, just salt and pepper, and it's like pulled pork. So if you know pulled pork, it's like pulled pork, but it's beef, and that's called siswa.
Siswa, okay.
Yeah.
Pulled pork with polenta in the Botswana way.
Botswana way, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. What else?
So that's definitely the Botswana dish, but then there's also something called mopane worms. So it's called pane in Botswana, and it's these types of worms. They're called mopane worms, but they're not actually worms. They are caterpillars. I think they're caterpillars, and they have like spikes on their body, and they're a bit scary, and they live on the mopane tree. So the mopane tree is a tree that's very all over southern Africa, and I think other parts of Africa as well, but definitely in the south. And yeah, it's this dried. It's usually dried, so it's crunchy when you eat it, with the whole body, like the head, the body, and its little legs too. But you can just eat it dried, or you can cook it in a pot.
Yeah, now I can imagine after you describe it. It's probably also exists in Namibia. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I ate it there. Oh, very, very delicious.
You liked it?
Yeah, I like it.
I love it. It's delicious. Yeah.
Well, definitely try it out, listeners, and let us know in the comments if you really like it or what you think about it. Yeah, cool. So, do people also, when they eat, do they drink wine to dinners, beer, or what do they drink?
Yeah, we're not a wine country like South Africa. We don't have vineyards.
Okay.
But we drink beer. We drink beer, and actually there's one drink that is quintessentially from Botswana. Wait, what is it called? I can't remember the name, and people are gonna be very angry at me. But it's like it's like a drink that you drink in like a traditional shabin or something, like in the it will come to me after this podcast. But it's like beer, let's say. So
Okay.
people drink beer. People drink don't really drink wine. But yeah, people don't really drink that much with like a traditional dish. They would drink ginger beer. That's also one thing. That's definitely, we have traditional ginger beer. And tea. I would say we're more of a tea country. We're definitely not a coffee country. So we have rooibos
That's
tea.
probably also from the UK influence.
I think it's the UK influence and definitely South African as well. Yeah. So we're a tea country, and so we drink tea. We drink water. Oh, but
So I know what I need to offer you afterwards as a thank you for the podcast.
yeah, you can offer me that. Yeah, water actually is very scarce in Botswana. We don't have. We're always in drought. So
Yeah.
so water is very important to our culture to the extent that rain. The Setswana word for rain is pula, and the currency of our country is called pula. So rain is so important to Botswana that we made it the name of our currency.
Okay, that's a very interesting fun fact.
Yeah.
So you pay with rain.
We pay with rain, and one of the things that people in Botswana say when they're very happy at traditional to celebrate is pula. We shout pula, which means rain.
To be
Just to celebrate, just to be happy, we shout pula. That's
what
how
a
much
fun fact.
we love rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you get more than.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. Wow. Nice. So pula important to remember. And guys, if you go there, now you have a very interesting fun fact about the currency name.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. And in the end, I had already great dishes, history, economical, tourism. So what about safety?
Safety, yeah. Botswana is a very safe country, and yeah, Botswana is a very safe country.
That's
and
really funny that people really walk through it.
without a
They all want to be in the camera.
no care in the world.
Yeah.
Just safety, yes, safety. Botswana is a very safe country, as I was saying. So it's so safe that it's even boring. Like Botswana is a boring
That's a good
country.
summarize. And we actually should go for it because the time is already probably far over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, I always ask my guests about some words in their own language.
Yeah.
So just can you say hello or yes or something in
Setswana.
Setswana, exactly.
Yeah. So I'll just give you a greeting. When you greet somebody in Setswana, you say dumela.
Dumela.
Dumela. And if you say how are you, there are two ways to say how are you. There's a more formal way, which is utsurile jang. Utsurile jang.
Utsurile Jan.
Yes, and this means how are you, but literally it means how did you wake up.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's a very good question, to be honest.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when you answer, if you say I'm fine, you say ke tsogile sentle.
Again, I try to repeat it, but
it's ke tsogile
Kechurile
sentle.
Sentle.
Yes,
Okay,
that
Kechurile
means
Sentle.
yeah. Literally,
Kind of, I would say.
you go
It sounds a bit different than
somewhere
you
there.
pronounce it, but okay.
Yeah, it literally means I woke up well.
I woke up well. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get the sense
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
question, but
But
the
then
pronunciation, I'm not sure if I made it right. So, listener, make it better, please.
yeah, and then there's a less formal way, to say how are you, which is lekai. Lekai. Yeah, that's more. It's also
That's
how
easier,
are you,
lekai.
lekai. And literally that means it's kind of weird, but it literally means where are you? And then the answer is kiteng.
Here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Kiteng.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
I like your language.
Yeah,
It's a challenge for me to pronounce it, but well, I'm happy that we can survive with English in Botswana.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks a lot again for everything, and well, I'm already looking forward to discover Botswana once. Listeners, I hope you do, and thanks for listening, and hopefully see you soon at the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and if you like the podcast, please share it and like it. I'm happy for any comment, and follow us on Instagram or on any listening app. I'm happy to hear from you and hopefully see you soon in the next episode. Bye bye!